Number two, what does this lead to when you're separated? Living in hostility. Living in hostility. The Jews, as a culture, as a people group, were to be an example to the world of God's mercy and goodness. Instead, they hated Gentiles, and at the temple where they worshiped, they built a low partition wall called the Soreg to keep out the uncircumcised and unclean from worshiping God. So look at this. When we go to Israel, this is what you'll see. If you Google image Jerusalem, chances are you're going to see the Dome of the Rock, which is that gold dome right there in the middle of the picture. I want you to see this, though. You see that wall that kind of rims the whole box? That was built 2,000 years ago by Herod the Great, and he built this huge platform. There wasn't any trees there back there in Jesus' day. It was a massive, kind of like a mall-type area where you could walk out in this flat, open area. And he built this engineering marvel that's just almost unbelievable when you get there. When you walk around on this, you'll just be blown away. To this day, the reason that there's a Dome of the Rock in there is because the Muslims control the whole top. The Jews are not allowed to go up there. The Muslims keep them from going up there, and so the Jews have to, they're along the back side of this is called the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall, and you'll see some pictures of Jews going like this at the base of this wall, because those are the original stones that Herod the Great laid 2,000 years ago. And so those are one of the last original pieces of this whole thing that was torn down by the Romans in 70 AD. And so the Jews, they don't get to go up on top. They have to stay at the bottom of this wall, and they pray for their Jewish Messiah to come rescue them. The problem was he already came. He's already been here. And so if you're a Jew and you're waiting for your Messiah, you're going to be waiting forever because Jesus has already come. And the issue here now is when we go to Jerusalem, you'll be able to walk up on that, unless you're Jewish, you'll be able to walk up on that platform. And the Muslims invaded Jerusalem in the Middle Ages, and they built the Dome of the Rock there. And the reason it's called the Dome of the Rock is if you're a Muslim, you can go inside there and pray. And what you'll see, and you can see Google images of it, is this huge rock juts up through the floor. And that rock is where Abraham almost sacrificed Isaac on that rock. And 2,000 years ago, the temple stood right over that spot. And that rock is where the original Holy of Holies was, and it's where the original Ark of the Covenant sat. And so literally people's sins would be forgiven on the Ark of the Covenant in that spot 2,000 years ago. So this is probably what it looked like in Jesus' day. So there was a temple there, and the rim of the wall was much bigger and larger up on top. And I want you to see one thing about this picture. You see there's a small little wall on both sides that surround the sanctuary, the place where they would forgive sins. If I walked up on the platform there, I couldn't go to worship God because there was a low partition wall that kept me as a Gentile, as a Norwegian, from going to worship God. And this wall had doors or gaps in it with signs at every gap that was written in Greek. And we have one that survived. I think it's in the British Museum, but it's written in Greek, and its message is, if you are not a Jew and you go past this point, you sacrifice your own life. So talk about hostility. Can I go worship God? No. You can stand outside, and if you go past this point, we'll kill you. Think about going to church and a sign outside the door. You go past this point, you're not clean, we're going to kill you on the other side. This is not a very friendly place to be. I just want to come worship God. And there's a pair of people are going to kill me. Imagine that hostility. Hey, you show up here and you're not right, we're going to put you to death. Dude, what? I thought this was supposed to be like a place of peace and love and understanding. Nope. And so understand right here, the Jews could go in and worship God. They built a wall that said, Gentiles, you don't come past us unless you become a Jew. And so all the Gentiles had to stand around and go, I guess we can't worship God. So when Paul talks about here that there's a dividing wall of hostility, it's a separator between the family of God and everybody else. And the problem was the family of God didn't want anybody else to join unless they were right, unless they became Jewish. So Jesus now, through his death, has torn this wall down and stopped the separation. But before the wall came down, man, there was massive hostility because people were separated. This barrier had signs warning on death of trespassing. This wall wasn't in the law, but served as a physical picture of Jewish hostility towards Gentiles and vice versa. Though the Jews had God's law and promises, they didn't have his spirit nor his love for the world. Ready? Listen. Separation never creates appreciation and understanding, only confusion, anger, and hostility. Ready? I'm going to walk right into your life right now. I'm going to literally walk right into your home. You can't imagine how many times myself and the other pastors of this church get this phone call. Hey, is there any time that you guys could do some marital counseling? Yeah, what's going on? My wife told me, yesterday that she wants to get a divorce. Go, well, how long have you been married? 50 years or 5 minutes or whatever it is. And here's the thing with men. Men are kind of dense. And so it takes them a long time to know what's going on. Your wife could be like, hey, we're having problems. We really should go see a counselor. Blah, blah. We need somebody to help us work this out. And men are like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go mow the lawn. But then at some point, your wife rolls over at night and goes, I think we should be separated. And I think maybe we should get a divorce. And all of a sudden, men go, oh, Jesus in heaven, help. And we run and grab our phone. Pastor, can you get us in? I don't want to lose my wife and my family and everything. And then we take the counseling. And here's one thing I want to help you with. Ready? Let me help your marriage. I'm going to fix your marriage right now. You're like, you can't do that. I absolutely can. I'm going to fix your marriage right now. You can't imagine how many times when we sit down with somebody and they go, hey, we've been going to a Christian counselor, we've been going to a psychologist or relational therapist or whatever they call them these days. And they said it'd be better if we were separated so we could kind of figure ourselves out individually. And, better to be apart and get ourselves together, and then we can kind of maybe work on some stuff later. Let me tell you, that's the biggest pile of trash you could possibly ever be told. If you've ever been told it's better to be apart and work on it than together, you have absolutely been told something destructive to your marriage, destructive to your relationship. Separation does not create appreciation and healing. Separation creates separate worlds.